Hello and welcome back to another video. The latest Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown newsletter released a couple of weeks ago, so I am a little bit late with this video, and you've probably already seen most of this information after everyone and their cat has already made a video about it. But this was one of the longest newsletters we've had so far, so I still wanted to cover it, taking a bit of a closer look and giving my thoughts, just in case you've missed any of, well, this newsletter previously. This sixth news drop mostly revolves around the racing itself, called the competitive experience. As with a lot of the previous newsletters, as well as the written information and images, there was also another new trailer, this one being called The Racer. This is what you'll be seeing in the background of today's video. It shows off two of the already confirmed vehicles coming to the game, the Corvette ZR1 and the Lamborghini Huracan Performante. We then head to an upgrade shop in the Corvette after turning down a race with the Lamborghini, or avoiding a race with them, because they're much higher performance level as it turns out, where we are greeted, once we get into the shop, with a Nissan GTR, a Mustang and an Alpine, all of which I believe are already confirmed cars for this game. It's here where we can customize and upgrade our cars, including performance and visual modifications, split into several categories, as we've grown used to in many racing games. It seems to be pretty similar to that. They do race through it quite quickly, particularly the performance options, but they all seem to be pretty standard kind of things you would expect, with several options for things like tyre types and brakes, some of them specific to surfaces, so there's like dirt tyres and some that are more road focused. The visual modifications though seem quite interesting. They include aftermarket wheels from some real world brands, some different options for window tint and how dark you want it, but only in black, which is quite good to see because some games like Forza allow you to tint them bright green, which looks a bit unrealistic. And interior customization as well, where you can basically change to a different manufacturer option if you change your mind about the spec you originally chose at the dealership, for example. There is also, of course, a livery editor, so that we can, as you can see here, absolutely ruin a Corvette with a chrome wrap style design, and then hit the racetrack, along with a Lotus Exige Cup something or other. They kind of look a bit similar, some of these, but it's basically a track-focused Lotus Exige, which is a newly confirmed addition to the car list, as well as the Nissan GTR and Mustang that we saw earlier. We are then given a glimpse of many parts of the city as the Corvette rips through the streets, including a first look at one of the underground car parks that are going to be in the game. And here the Corvette finally finds that Lamborghini again after they've gone and done their upgrades, and of course wins a race against it. But this is also kind of showcasing the kind of quick races that you can do in free roam. Wherever you approach another car, you can challenge them to a race, much like you can in many other racing games, and of course could in Test Drive Unlimited too. So you have to set up, it looks like here, your sort of bet for quick races in a pause menu, a bit like you would in that previous game. You set how much you want your challenge to be worth when you go and challenge somebody, and a few things like that. You can, though, apparently turn this off entirely, so if you don't want people randomly coming up to you and challenging you for races, then they won't. The written newsletter then continues with the streets versus the sharps in real time, just below the trailer here, where they say that Hong Kong Island is apparently the perfect place for these clans to battle, and in doing so we'll be able to unlock exclusive rewards. These can be unlocked by doing several things, including driving challenges, exploration, finding parts for wrecked vehicles, and using FRIM, or Free Ride Instant Money, a bit like a skill chain type of thing, but instead of XP you get credits from that. The different event types are then explained in more depth. There will be instant challenges, where you can challenge anyone in free roam to a race to a certain location, which we saw in the trailer with the Lamborghini and the Corvette, which is a pretty standard type of event nowadays. There are, though, also 3 types of live events, which sound quite interesting. There are lifestyle battles, which are challenges throughout each week, and are basically a competition between the two clans for the most instant challenges won, or most money spent, or most money accumulated, or most FRIM banked, for example, or most betting challenges won, things like that. We then have hotheads, which are time attacks randomly selected each day, basically a limited time event where you go and set a time against the clock on that day to see who is fastest, and also high stakes, which are similar to hotheads, but you only get 3 attempts to beat a given time, and with every attempt there is an entry fee, and those fees are then put into the prize pot, which is then split between everyone who actually beats the time. So effectively, if you beat the time, the sort of benchmark time, you will win back all the money, well, some of the money you've put into the pot, plus the money from all the people who've failed to complete it. You'll get a split of that, which is quite interesting, I think. There are, of course, also more traditional circuit, sprint, and time attack races, as well as domination events, where you gain points based on your position that you pass each checkpoint. So if you're in the lead, you'll get more points than the cars behind. That's not all, though. They say more different event types are planned post-launch. We just don't know what those are yet. By the way, in this little video thing that's playing in the newsletter, there is what looks like in the pop-up a Fenrir Supersport, which is another new car. So that's the sort of all the standard races, but starting from when we reach level 20 in-game apparently, we'll be able to participate in events that are part of the Solar Crown competition itself, which I think is essentially going to be sort of like a ranked multiplayer in-game. But basically you work your way up through the ranks depending on where you finish in races, with bronze being the sort of first rank, going all the way up through gold, platinum, diamond and solar court, with only one driver, the best driver of that season, being crowned the Solar King or Solar Queen at the end of the season. Depending on which rank you reach at the end of the season, it will decide what prizes you are given. Solar Court, for example, will sometimes win a gift car from this, I believe. The second half of the written newsletter is all about the customization and upgrades that will be available in this game, starting with things like the driving assists, with ABS and traction control adjustable from 0 to 100, rather than just being a simple on or off like they are in most games, which is quite an interesting way of doing it. I think gives you more control over how you set your car and how you want your car to feel, I suppose. And of course there's the usual racing line options and choice of manual or automatic gearboxes. The upgrades are then briefly explained. There are the usual parts that affect general performance, as well as parts like tyres and suspension that will make your car's behaviour change and optimise it for a particular purpose, for example, more of an off-road focused car or a race focused car. Each car will also have several driving modes to choose between: sport, trail, dynamic, off-road, rain, circuit and cross-country. Not every car will have all of those. They will have 3 modes basically, as well as the default setup that the car comes with. However, I think they're kind of saying here that we're not limited to those necessarily. More experienced players who have played many racing games in the past will be able to customize these settings more individually and really tweak the car to feel exactly how they want it to. The newsletter finishes with a summary of the recent second closed playtest. Over 5,000 players helped to mainly test the servers and multiplayer, but also to generally have a go with the game and give feedback on their experience with it, as well as confirming a third playtest coming soon. So if you're part of either of the previous 2, you'll automatically be invited to join this, but if not, make sure you sign yourselves up to the newsletter for the chance to be invited to the next, much bigger playtest. That, though, does bring us to the end of the newsletter. Quite a lot of information here this month, but super exciting to see more of what the events themselves in-game will actually be like, and see some of the upgrades and customization that will be in-game, and how it will all work. So yeah, a little bit late to this one, so I do apologise if you've already kind of heard all of this information, but I wanted to take a closer look and kind of read through it myself as well, and just in case you guys haven't. Do let me know though what you think. Are you as hyped for this game as I am? Because yeah, I'm super excited every time they drop a new bit of news. For today's video though, that is going to be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I will be back with the next one very soon.